Yo, what's up? Well, not recently, but I've hit 100 subscribers, so I'm gonna do a Q&A video on this layout. Welcome to Uma Chat. Yes, that is what we're calling this. This is Uma Chat. Why? Because this layout is made to Umapyoi Legend. Now, I don't know how many of you guys in the GD community also know about Uma Musume, but if you don't, you gotta check it out. The two creators are me and RevoltZy here. Now, a lot of people have been asking in the forum, who are you? And hey, that's a valid question. I don't think many people know about this individual. So if you will, please introduce yourself.
Okay, well, I am RevoltZy. You may have heard of me. I verified putting roses, the update to Chromatic Haze, and I was involved in a multitude of things with the lower fresh rate community. I typically don't do much public-facing stuff. I was on the list team for a little under a year, about 10 months, and that's about it. I like to make a lot of layouts and stuff, which is why I opted to want to join in and make this layout thing. But basically, what I'm here to do is create the Umapyoi Legend layout, and I have done a lot with it, and I think it will be really cool.
Woo!
That's about it. Wow, yo,
Check out their
I'm
channel.
cool as hell. I'm cool as hell.
Yeah, dude, they're you know, one person in one comment section once described them as the underground goat, and I agree with that sentiment. Everyone is sleeping on you, okay? They don't know. All right, so how this is gonna work is I'm going to be reading off questions from our submissions here. So if you guys have ever seen Wulzy's creator chat series, where he basically just sits down with a notable creator in the community and just has a chat with them while building a level, this is basically going to play out the exact same way. But I have questions from this forum. I might think of some questions in between then of my own. So yeah, we're just going to be building on this layout and having a good time. This first question comes from Dorillo. Do you ever have you ever had a moment where you ended up playing the gameplay a lot and the progress slowed down enormously because of that?
Like making the gameplay too fun, or making the gameplay like where you're not sure if you like it or not? Because there's two answers to that question, and I'll start with a personal example. When I'm making gameplay, a lot of the time, I do actually fall into that pitfall of just playing too much because I want to have it perfected. There's something I picked up in my time making a bunch of layouts. A lot of the time, if you just put something down, it will lead into something you want to make, and something you can make that would be very, I don't know how to say this, but you just put down gameplay basically, even if you don't like it, and just try to move past that segment of the song. Because if you move past that segment of the song, and you might accidentally make something that's really good, and it can give you inspiration to refine and recreate the part you had replayed multiple times over, to kind of prevent yourself from falling into those pitfalls of just not creating anything.
Well said. I don't think I have an answer to that, because this layout is basically the first time I've ever built this much gameplay, and the first time I've ever this is the hardest I've ever tried to make gameplay. In the forum as well, there is an opportunity for the responders to ask a question to either of us individually. A few people here who responded did not leave any questions for either of us, or didn't leave meaningful questions that didn't leave responses that I deemed meaningful for this video. This next response is from Vera. Shout out to you. Good luck on firework, and also that top 10 you're verifying. Forget, I think it's called. Was the layout building process very thought out, or did you just go with the flow? Here, I'm going to give you the structure of the song and the level. So there is the intro, verse 1, pre-chorus 1, chorus 1, verse 2, pre-chorus 2, chorus 2, the bridge, and then the last 2 choruses. So how we split the level is RevoltZy first built the intro and then sent me a video of it along with passing me the layout, and then I built verse 1, they built pre-chorus 1, I did chorus 1, and then they did verse 2, passed it back to me for pre-chorus 2, passed it back to them for chorus 2. For the parts I had before the bridge, I had a bunch of ideas before coming into this layout of some stuff that I wanted to do, and that it was kind of easy for me to build those because I already had some ideas in mind. Where that stopped happening was when we started the bridge, when we got to the bridge, because I basically had 0 ideas past that point. I didn't know what to build. So the stuff you're seeing on my screen right now, this wasn't even the original gameplay that I had here. I built some random stuff. I'm going to show a screenshot of it here, but I just built some random stuff that I thought was all right at the time, and then looking back at it, I thought, okay, this sucks, so I'm going to replace it. But past the bridge, I was basically just going with the flow. I just opened the editor, listened to the song a bit, and put down whatever fits the click pattern I had in that part. So that was the process. Before the bridge, I had ideas. Reaching the bridge and afterwards, we just went with the flow.
Actually funny, because that ties in directly to what I had told Dorilla earlier. So once you don't have ideas, or you find yourself repeating that same passage of gameplay over and over again, you can just place down whatever feels right. Even if you think it is bad at the time, you can always refine it later with the inspiration you get from just moving on. And that's a very core principle, I think, when it comes to building gameplay in this game.
And Vera didn't have a question for you, but they have a question for me, which I guess could apply to both of us. Favorite GD map? I don't really have a favorite, but I do have ones that stand out to me the most and the ones I remember the most. And I think there's one that I will have an answer for this actually, and that is this XL Easy Demon, The Clouds Give Way by Subwoofer. 4 minutes and 40 seconds. It uses an entire Meolophone song. I remember playing this the most because I discovered this song through this, and I really like the song. And 2, this level tells an entire story through the song and its representation in the level.
For me, it's gonna be kind of like, okay, I'm an extreme player. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. So I haven't played many levels outside of that difficulty range. So I can't really give an adequate answer to favorite map in its entirety. If I had to pick one, it would probably, pick a non-extreme, it would probably be Experiment. Experiment is a very, very cool level to me. I really like what it tries to do and what it executes. For an extreme pick, it would have to be N0 or No by Metal Face 221. I find that level to be one of the coolest levels ever, and it's super fun to play.
In his first response, he asks, what was your favorite part to build? I can go first again on this because I have an immediate answer. It is this spider part here, and I will play it right now.
Actually, sitting down and structuring this part, it's pretty good. I don't think I'm gonna delete most of it.
So yeah, the spider part you just saw, that was the most fun I had building a part. It actually turned out really well, and it synced perfectly to the music. That was the most proud I've ever been making gameplay because it was so good and so satisfying to play.
I got a good answer too. It's definitely gonna have to be this duel. I ended up making with like 2 dual cubes, dual mini cubes. I'll give it a playthrough.
Oh, that part is so good.
I had the idea in mind when I was making it, and it just ended up like executing like perfectly. Like I guess it wasn't really the first attempt. It was actually kind of funny. I was trying to demonstrate the concept of offsetting your duel like that. Ooh, Sean here. Actually, I'm gonna turn off my noise suppression so you can hear the clicks of it. And there it is. It's super cool. It works so well, and it's just like very, very satisfying. And that's why it's gotta be my answer to this question.
Dude, the editor trail makes such a nice pattern as well. Thank you, Iconics. We will come back to you when we get to your second response in the forum. This person did not want to put a name down, but they asked, why did you two decide to do a layout together? It's not like we hate each other or anything. It's not like we hated each other before we decided to do this layout. It was
my mortal enemy.
Yeah, we're actually going to part ways after this and never speak to each other again.
It was a contract, an obligated contract.
How this started was the idea popped up in my head. I was literally thinking nothing of it. I literally thought it would not go through when I said collab layout to Umapyoi Legend. Like, so there's an elevator pitch, there's a 30-second pitch, and then there's a 1-sentence pitch. And RevoltZy said, let's do it, and then built the intro on the spot and passed the layout back to me. And then we went back and forth trading the layout until the bridge. We didn't really decide on anything. We just started it on a whim.
Now, I do actually recall what may have started. So what we were doing before was actually just, I had brought up the idea. I think you have posted something about Umapyoi, and I'm a little addicted to this franchise. A little bit. I'm very invested. And I actually, believe it or not, I did own a horse. I have owned a horse, and that's primarily why I was so attached to this franchise, is because it really did remind me of that action, I guess. It was just really cool to see. Like, I had no idea. Like, I had always watched American horse racing, the Kentucky Derby, the Preakness Stakes, the Belmont Stakes. I'd always watched, like, just to see if there would be a new, like, American Triple Crown winner. I had no idea, like, sport was so big in Japan or just other parts of the world. So this franchise kind of opened my eyes to that when I found out there was a slightly deplorable gacha game. Had to hop on. I had brought up the idea of the game to Sean here, and we actually went through. I coached him, and you ended up being a Group B winner. And
I did win Group B in my first CM.
And I think that kind of small exchange is what led me to wanting to actually make this layout, other than the fact that I just make layouts on my own all the time.
Okay, this is gonna be a short one. GaryBoy69 says, when am I decorating? Give it to me now, 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 now. I will do bad things. Gary Boy, I have seen your decoration. Hashtag rate Dusty Divot and Loot Lake. I think, Gary Boy, your style, you have to include all of the recognizable characters in there. And also the parts need to be themed around the game. I think I can let you in because I know you, we're friends. But I think you're gonna need a slight upgrade.
It's actually something I actually wanted to talk about. How strict do we even want to go with decoration? Because having a full team of art decorators is going to be proving to be very difficult. But I think, like, with the nature of GD and the spirit of GD, you can do a lot with color expression. Like, I think that one of the ideas I had actually was for some of the parts where, like, it's a character solo specific, you don't necessarily need to have the character like detailed and rendered. You could maybe have like a little bit of like maybe bits of like their hair, not hair, their ear accessory, but you could just heavily focus on like their colors, because with Umamusume, the characters itself, the colors are very, very important to represent the actual racehorse and the jockey on them. So I think with GD as a medium, you could do a lot with just effect creation as well as art creation, which I think could narrow down the exclusivity of it a lot.
I think you're right in that you don't have to explicitly show everything. You can have a color scheme based on a character, and you can show like small details or just defining characteristics.
Yeah, like for an example, like Silent Suzuka, you could have, when she's singing, primarily use like whites, light greens, and maybe having an accent color being that orange, represent like her hair or whatever. Not necessarily like turning the character into a Geometry Dash decorated part, because that's kind of awkward. Capturing the feel and the representation without having to like be an artist, really.
I actually don't know how we're going to get decorators for this, because I don't know of any other people in the GD community who are as knowledgeable as we are on the Umamusume franchise. Back to Iconics.
It's a mixed bag, honestly. I think at the start, when there was a lot of momentum, kind of like I like to call it like the new car effect, where you really just like want to work on something because it's brand new. And then eventually you'll hit this period of just not necessarily running out of ideas, just like running out of motivation and wanting to find that motivation again. And then sometimes it's just really hard to do. So you just need a little break. And that's exactly what happened. We had to take a little break after that very, very large sprint, which is what led to this being done, I believe, a little over 2 months. You can fact check that.
Yeah, we took 2 months to make gameplay for the entire song the first time.
Yeah. And obviously, there's still some rough patches that we are working out currently as we speak. To answer the question, I'd say it was still done in a very reasonable amount of time, despite that hiccup initially. 2 months with a sizable break in between for a 4-minute layout is definitely not like something to scoff at. I think it was done as quick as it should have been done.
Yeah, I was really surprised and impressed at how fast we were able to do this. 4-minute layout to a Nong. I don't really have much data to go off of, but I'd imagine that stuff takes a while, especially if you're collaborating with another person.
And I actually can offer a little bit of context. I'm not really the best to offer context, admittedly, because like my whole thing is speed building. I speed build all the time. It's like one of my main Geometry Dash hobbies, I guess. I've made quite a few layouts. I mean, Excel layout. I've actually made a 4-minute long layout in 4 days. Usually it would take, depending on how motivated you are, like a little over a month. It also depends on the people working with you. The overall want to get a product out, there's a lot of factors that define how fast you can build.
Question for you. Are you more of a player or a builder?
I guess I'd honestly refer to myself as like more of a retired veteran, but in the time when I did play, I was definitely more of a player. I got into building layouts kinda recently. I was always like interested in making layouts, and I have tried to decorate it, but it's not something I put the most effort into yet. I think if I were to put more effort into like decorating, I could end up being a pretty decent creator, just given off of my creating principles and discipline. But I'm definitely more of a player. My achievements not really being too impressive nowadays. My hardest is only Crimson Planet, and I beat on 240 when 2.2 came out. My But I used to be very big, not big, I guess. I was never too big, but I was a decently known lower refresh rate player back when I played all the time. I was top 50 on the lower refresh rate list. My hardest being Zerai Hobby, which I had beaten on 60 Hz. My hardest sub 60 Hz completion being Caution. So I've done a lot in the playing space, much more so than the creating space. And that might be why a lot of people don't know who I am, because that place is pretty flooded.
Hey, don't sleep on Caution 48 Hz. Thank you, Iconics, for the questions. All right, moving on. This one comes from Legal. Hello, Legal. Shout out to you, Legal. When structuring or making the base gameplay for the layout, do you have ideas for the decoration in mind when making it? I'm just gonna say right now, no, not at all. I don't know how anyone is going to decorate this, but I really want it to happen, so we'll see.
When I normally make gameplay, that's like something I don't think about too frequently, if at all. But the way I structure my gameplay, like regardless, like even though it looks complex, as you can see on my screen right now, I do make sure everything is on grid. Every single thing I place is on grid. I guess in that sense, I do keep that aspect in mind. If it were to be decorated, I try to make sure things stay on grid for ease of creation. And I think that is just a very nice principle to have with creating layouts. You can do a lot with the grid. I think when it comes to sync, there's a very big misconception I'd actually like to talk about, that you need to meticulously move everything to line up with the grid in order to get perfect sync, in quotes, but that's not exactly true. The game itself provides you with a lot of micro adjustments with mini half blocks, the half grid steps, and this is made exceptionally easier with 2.2. I guess to answer the question adequately, intentionally, I did not think of who would be creating my gameplay, primarily to not kind of hinder my creative liberty in a way, but also I did keep it a conscious decision to make sure everything around aligns with the grid, so things could easily be restructured, realigned if a decorator has a very specific structuring style that they would like to use and decorate with exclusively.
Question for you. What are your thoughts on platformer mode?
Originally, when 2.2 came out, I thought pointless on launch. And this is mainly because I was really, really deep in my my playing career, right? I thought it was kind of unnecessary to direct development to an entirely different game, almost, just kind of piggybacking off of the established engine already. And I thought it would further this kind of player-creator divide by adding a third faction almost. And looking back, it was a very cynical worldview, but I'm not thought about it. I do not play platformer. The creations I've seen done in platformer are really cool. They're really cool. I think obviously the platformer mode gameplay level, the platform level I've played the most is going to be Semi-Quaver, I believe it was, just because it was a Osumania clone, and as an Osumania player.
Shout out Creator Creepy.
Wow, this is awesome. And I think it was actually that level, Semi-Quaver, that was okay, this is exactly what the game needed for mini-game levels. I think what creators had done previously with the two-player game mode, with Sir Punch and Master Game and the Alter Game series entirely, and just among a bunch of other levels, like the Shapes and Thieves, just basic game recreations. I think platformer mode was a very, very necessary addition for using Geometry Dash as like an engine. I'm not like the biggest programmer ever, but being able to have that freedom, not limited by having to make like a timer or clock, gives a lot more freedom of expression, especially with a game like this, where it's entirely built off creator expression. And I think overall, it was a very positive addition, even if I don't play or participate in the levels that much anymore. But granted, I don't participate with this game that much anymore. But just seeing the things people have got up to, it's very cool. It's very cool.
This question comes from Bulbasario. Shout out to you, Bulbasario. Did you have any inspirations from other levels while making this?
I wouldn't say that I had any inspiration like from established creators. I do have creator inspiration in general, with my the two biggest creators, like layout creators and just creators in general that inspire me is obviously Temp. I really like Temp's work. Temp's gameplay has always been really remarkable to me. And in terms of like, I guess more on the layout side, it would have to be the creator Ashuria. Ashuria has created a ton of really cool things that always inspire me, like especially duels. I think Ashuria has perfected the art of making very flowy and cool duels, and it has been a big inspiration for me when I have come to create my own duels, which I consider myself to be my biggest strength.
Did Bulbasario have any other questions? She told you hi, and she asked me, are you mad at me? This is the last response on the forum. This is from Hugh. Big shout out to Hugh. What was your main motivator for finishing your parts in this layout? Because there is an F ton of gameplay, and I'm curious how you went about making the entire thing. Before the bridge, when we were just trading back and forth, it would literally be the first part RevoltZy did, and then they passed the layout back to me, sent me the ID, and then the next morning I would make my part, and then by the same day, by that evening, I would have passed my part back to them. Seemingly overnight, I would wake up to them having passed the layout back to me. That is how it went before the bridge. Now, after the bridge is an entirely different story, because I'd ran out of ideas just then. I just wanted to get it done. So there was a time in the middle where this is starting to drag on a bit, because, you know, the song is 4 minutes long and it was starting to wear off on me. It was starting to become not my favorite Uma Musume song anymore. But I think the big change in motivation for that came right after I finished the last quarter of my second year of college. I finished finals, and that was the change for me. And I was like, wow, I'm free. I'm back home, and now I can do whatever. Then we actually went to making all the parts in the ending, the last 2 courses, and that actually went by pretty quickly. I didn't really build much. RevoltZy kind of carried the last parts, but I had some stuff, and we got it done. What counts is that we got it done.
I think my main motivator for finishing this layout, it's probably not like this grand response. My biggest motivator was definitely just I wanted to see the layout in its entirety. I wanted to see how everything fit together. And not obviously, but one of my biggest motivators when it comes to making layouts, especially gameplay and Excel ones in general, is they can be very hard to finish. And it's just seeing that end goal. Layouts themselves are super interesting to me because they're always so unique. And when you make a layout this long, that uniqueness is a lot harder to keep going because of how long it is. You don't want to start reusing ideas, but the longer the layout goes on, the more ideas you've already used, to where it could feel like the only ones left are just not as good. And that, especially for me, is what demotivated me the most with this layout. Is just like, after I had like kind of put out my best work in the first half of the layout, I was really struggling with what I wanted to do next, because I wanted it to still be good, but I didn't want to just reuse what I had already done. And I would like to give a special shout out to Editor Collab here, actually, because that really that made it a lot less, I guess, taxing to want to experiment, just because it kind of added this layer of excitement. I was having a lot of fun with just kind of digging around in the editor, showing Sean what it's like to build layouts with schizophrenia. I think my biggest motive for finishing this layout, like I said earlier, is just I really wanted to see the culmination of work. I really wanted to see it all come together and just see what it's like. And this is kind of why, like, normally I would never really push to get something decorated, because like, I'm just a layout creator myself. I don't create, I don't decorate. I would like to at some point, but that's getting off topic. I would just really like to see this layout played by people. I'd really like to see what people think of it. I'm usually not in a situation where people are actually able to play my creations because I don't publicize them, but having this be potentially played by many people was a big motivator for me.
I do want to talk about Editor Collab for a quick minute. I had the idea that when we get to the last chorus, that during the bridge parts we would still alternate back and forth and stuff, but for the last chorus I kind of wanted us to build it together, because before that point it was just going back and forth between me and RevoltZy, and these parts would be very different in styling and structuring and just in the gameplay in general. So I wanted the layout to progress in a way that has both of our styles kind of melded together at the end. Now looking at it, didn't really happen, but you know, it's not about the journey, it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. And I think the process was more important. It was more important that the process was fun and that we didn't lose motivation and this layout didn't die out. And because of the idea that I wanted to just have us building simultaneously, sort of, at the ending, as you would when people edit a Google document at the same time. You see people typing in real time. It was very short time before Editor Collab had just released publicly. This was kind of the perfect opportunity for us to do this type of stuff. And it costs $10, so yes, this is officially a $10 layout. Now we're both on this level at the same time, and it's been really fun. Editor Collab, the lead developer of Editor Collab, Alkali, shout outs to you. You are the GOAT. Alright, now for the individual questions for Hugh. We're not done with them yet. Question for you. Are you proud of your parts in the layout? I, as in Hugh, think they're pretty awesome, but I'm curious what you think.
There's a few parts that I think I could have done better, but there are a lot of parts I am very proud of, I would say. Like, I have actually illustrated some of my dual gameplay. And honestly, like, as I've been structuring this part I have already made, I'm appreciating it a lot more, because originally I didn't like this part. I don't like this part at all. This would be one of the parts I would have been not proud of, but as I've been working with it and ironing out a lot of the issues, I've come to appreciate it a lot more. And I think that could be said for a lot of the parts I've made in this layout. Obviously, I'm not going to be proud of everything. It's a 4-minute long layout. There's going to be some outliers or some parts that just don't work. And that's fine. That's something you come to expect when you are creating a layout. You're not going to be proud of everything. The most important thing is just to be proud of the product together. There's a lot of parts I am very proud of. There's a lot of parts that probably will be remade or reworked, and you might see that differ in the finished product. But I do appreciate the question. It's a very nice question.
Did you have any doubts that you'd finish this? If so, what was that like? Simply put, I knew this was going to get done. All right, well, that's all the questions from our forum. Do you have any questions that you've thought up?
The only question I would have was something I did kind of touch on. How strict are we going to be with decoration? Because I have stated my thoughts on the matter. I think a baseline quality is fine, but I don't think we should expect find, like, obviously we should not expect to find, like, we're gonna get some Rafer on this layout. We're gonna get some. You see what I mean? How do you want to go about finding decorators? Like if it comes down to it, I will learn how to decorate to fill spaces. Like, I am really infatuated with the idea of doing more with colors rather than art specifically, because with Geometry Dash levels, sometimes being too art focused can hinder the levels, like, I guess what makes it memorable. Like, okay, an example would be Storming Summit, and this is maybe a personal example, but I think Storming Summit is really cool, but I still think it borrows a little bit too much assets from Celeste itself, and it feels less, I guess, original. Like, it's still very good, don't get me wrong. I think that level is expertly done, but it still has that kind of, this is just taken from the game rather than created for the level. And I think that's very important when it comes to Geometry Dash decoration as a whole, at least when it comes to my enjoyment of a particular level. So I guess the question would be, like, what are you looking for? And let me actually not push back, but add a little bit more to that. What I really mean, and my biggest takeaway on why I think it should be more color oriented, is that Celeste is very well known, especially in the GD community. So it works a lot better because people are able to actually point and look at, like, oh, I know where this is from. This is cool. When we're doing something kind of more niche, like Umapyoi, I guarantee you a lot of people are not going to know, like, oh, this is Silent Suzuka singing this part. That's so cool. I will, because I'm a loser. But people are not going to have that same, like, wow, this is very cool. What I'm basically trying to say is making it reference, but also stand alone. To where, like, if you were to remove the Umapyoi brand from individual parts, it wouldn't take away or detract that much from the level as a whole. And I think it would be much more memorable that way. Not only would it be more memorable, at least in my opinion, it would free up the specialization we're looking for, to where we won't have to find, like, that much or that heavy of specialized creators to fill the type of niche we're trying to fulfill. And I think if we want a level to come out, a level this long, we have to kind of loosen up in that retrospect.
I actually really like that. I thank you for saying that, because you've basically put into words the exact philosophy that this level should have. Not every XL level, not every level that's themed around something from another franchise does this, nor should they have to do this. Like you said, for more niche franchises, well, not niche, well, Umapyoi is huge, they're big in Japan, but for franchises that you won't be able to go into some city street and ask a random person about it and they'll know. Like this one, I don't think many people know about this franchise at all in the friend groups that I'm in. Yeah, you should be able to take a look at this level and remove every aspect of Umapyoi about it, and it would still be a good looking XL a good looking 4-minute long level.
And I think it just makes the references more impactful when you actually have to take apart them yourself and go like, oh, this is what this is. Because it encourages personal research, which I know this is not like some crazy, I guess it kind of is a little Umapyoi love letter, but it's like, it's just a good practice. That's what I'm trying to say. To not force people to engage with it or engage with the content. If someone doesn't, like if someone just hates Umapyoi, they might just not want to play the level at all.
I want to think about this more now as we made a level to an entire song. And the song, if you, like, no one, like almost nobody is going to understand what the song is saying because it's in a different language.
I think people who understand Japanese don't know what the song is saying. For all they know, this is a new Retta level.
Exactly. This might just be the next hottest sync-based level on
Umaretta.
Dude, we are not naming it Umaretta. We are not doing that.
That's like borderline racist.
It's like you see a level that is named after a song, like a lot of levels are. It's pretty cool when you see a level that's named after a song and it uses the whole song. Our philosophy or our mission statement is basically this. This is not explicitly about Umapyoi. This is just about making a good-ass level. And that's what we came here to do. When we get playtesters and they all start saying that this stuff sucks and it's awful, just forget about everything I said. Right now, though, it's the best thing in the world.
We're not trying to simulate the gameplay, or else we'd be making a platformer. Hold on. We'd be making a platformer. We having your little GDQ. You're gonna have to go play Stereo Madness to get some speed stats up. We're not doing that. It's gonna have some references, but it's not gonna be defined by those references. Those references are gonna be in place for people who are aware of the franchise to just have fun with it. The intention is just to make a level that's impactful. Impactful for not just people who play Umapyoi, for people who also just play extremes. I feel like I've said everything I needed to say. I'm also really hungry. My food has been here for like an hour now.
Yeah. Here, let me take a quick look at your part, what you did today.
I made.
Holy
structuring. It's like the whole thing is structured.
Wow, you have done... Wow. All right, and with that, we are going to wrap up, and that is what we've done today.
Expect to see the full preview somewhat soon. Can't promise, but I hope you will look forward to it.
Yeah, thanks for watching. Thank you for 100 subscribers, and I hope you guys will enjoy the showcase when it drops.
See ya.